All right, this is your host Shane with Radical Rocks, and today we're going to do another rock bucket treasure hunt, I guess, of sorts. And we have some different rocks here we're going to take a look at, and we're going to look at them with our fingernail and a penny, pocket knife, and we have a quartz tip if we need it. Also, it's really good to have a loupe, magnifying glass, and a spray bottle. So just let me set the phone up here as we get into this. Just so you know, the whole Radical Rocks thing that we're doing, we have a blog, and it's radicalrocksusa.blogspot.com. And we also are doing some videos. We'll transport this to YouTube, and we also have a podcast, which is Radical Rocks. And your attention is going to help contribute to education and different things like that. And the proceeds we are going to use to build the channel and also to help donate for education and possibly even trying to preserve areas for us to collect here in the U.S. So let's get right into it and look at some of these. We're just going to have a good time checking it out, using some basic techniques to check it out. Here is a basic geode that was, it's a Wiley Wells geode. And then you cut it in half, and you never know what you'll find inside. You can see those nice, little bit of chocolatey colored drusies. And then the rhyolite, silica rhyolite base that could polish up and look something like that. So that's how that looks. Okay, so that's the first one. The next one. This is one I washed it off because it was so dirty. And what we have here, we can try to scratch it with our finger. Probably most everybody knows what it is, but you can see it is kind of scratching with the finger a little bit. I'm leaving a little scratch mark right there. And then we can try a penny just for grins and giggles. So the penny, a little bit of the pennies comes off. I can see some copper in there, but it's definitely scratching it. So your fingernail is about let's see here. Fingernail is 2.5 and the copper coin is 3 point on hardness. The knife is about 5.5. Actually, this knife's probably a little bit harder. It's probably about 6. And then the quartz is a 7 on the Mohs hardness scale. So you would just scratch it like that. So we know it's softer. This is a root beer like oregonite. And it has, you can see some banding in here. So if you wanted to get the banding, you would probably cut it this way. And it looks pretty strong, but you know, this stuff, it's hit and miss. And you can see these bands in here pretty good. You got some really good banding right in here. But I would cut it so I could see the bands. And then you would have those nice root beer banding that would show up. So I'll get it wet. I don't think it's going to look much better wet, but we'll take a look at it wet. Not really giving us too much more than we already have, but you can see some of the bandings in there. Several different layers. Right in here, you can see it pretty good too, right in here. So that's oregonite. Kind of soft, easy to work with. Here's one here. I don't know what this one is. It looks like a chrysocolla. Definitely the knife is scratching it. I don't think it's as hard as that knife. I don't see any. The knife actually, it does look like there's a little bit of silver on there. So, yeah, there is a little bit of the knife on there. Let's see if I can get that in there. I don't know if you can see the silver color. So it's right about as hard as my knife. Right about a 5.5. Over here, a little softer spot because it's just getting ground with the penny. Penny scratching it right there. So it's soft there, but this one spot right here, that's pretty hard. So some of it's a little more siliconized than other parts of it. And you can get that. We'll get it wet, see if it looks any better. Oh yeah, it looks a lot better. So you can see that's probably going to look pretty nice. It looks like there's a little bit of silicization going on right there. And then as we go out, there's a little less silica, so therefore we're getting the lower hardness readings. But where the dark green is, that's where we're getting a nicer reading on this, what looks like a piece of chrysocolla here. And I'm not sure where this one came from. I might have got it in an old sale. All right, here's one. Willow liked this one. You can see these crystals, quartz crystals in there, glittering in the little vugs. Kind of a crisscross pattern here. Interesting the way it's cooled with these cracks in here. You've got some black, darker crystals in there. Not really sure what this is, but it is hard. It's much harder than the knife. So it's probably a jasper. You can definitely see the knife, the steel from the knife is on that. And we can try with some quartz here. Okay, it looks like our, not so much. Let's see. Yeah, it's kind of even with the quartz there. Pretty hard stuff. Would be interesting. Maybe make a cabochon out of that. Be kind of cool if you could make a cabochon with these crystals in here somehow. Highlight those. Fun little piece of jasper with some little vugs, little crystal vugs. Here's a fun one. So you probably know what that is. Now this is natural. You can see the layers. It's definitely a piece of chalcedony, and it just happened to form like this. For whatever reason, there might have been a hole that cooled, and then this little, was molten and hot, and it sunk down in there through a hole. Maybe some gas was released from a fissure or a little vein, a little hole, and that was able to drop down and form like a natural little. I mean, if you could find the right size candle for that, that'd be pretty cool. So I'll clean it out a little bit. You can see the layers of the chalcedony. So that's definitely a interesting piece of chalcedony there. You got a question? Nope. Okay. All right, next, let's see. Oh, here's a nice piece. You can find that. This one's been cut. Definitely really don't need much to understand what this one is. Everybody probably already knows. It's real hard. There's the knife, totally leaving a silver streak on it. So we know it's harder than the knife. I'll clean it off. This is a beautiful piece of moss agate. Can you see the way it looks like moss, guys? Yeah, you like that? We'll make a nice cabochon. It's got that three-dimensional look to it. Looks like it's kind of translucent, where you can see that really neat mossiness. Fun piece. Okay. All right, here's another one. Looks pretty rough. This is how you find them in the desert. You can see there is a little bit of green color to it. Let's see what we got on our hardness here. Okay, it looks like it is, I see some silver from the knife on it. So it looks like the knife is harder. Definitely can see that copper come off, without a doubt. You can see that copper coming off right there. See the copper color right there where I scratched it, guys? Yeah, the little copper come right off. So we'll wash it up. It's definitely looks like maybe some sort of agate. It's got a cool vein through it right there. Some black little vein. It's got some swirlies. Here's a golden sheen right here. Kind of a jasper right there. Really neat, earthy color. Make some nice cabs out of that. I'm not sure where that came from either. All right, this one I know. Had a piece of this last week. Again, a lot of these kind of look like somebody might have tried to make an edge. Maybe started to make an arrow. Hard to say. Can't tell for sure on this one, but this is a real nice piece of super hard, harder than the knife, Lavic jasper. You can find out in California off of Highway 40 in the Lavic area. Beautiful golden color. Got a couple little bugs with some druzy there that might make a nice addition to the cab, give it a little more character. All right, what do we got here, guys? What's that look like?
Turquoise.
Turquoise? Well, I see steel from the knife, so this is another hard one. I actually, when I picked this up, I thought it was maybe a piece of marble, but it's super hard. I'm gonna say, this is just a common piece of serpentine right here, but nice dark earthy color, polish up nice. Yeah, Willow?
I have that rock in my rock tree.
You do?
Yeah.
Nice. That's the California State rock.
I talked to you.
What do you need?
That looked like a heart.
Does that look like a heart? Okay, this looks like a heart, guys.
Yeah, cause it like a crunchy heart.
It's a what heart?
Crunchy.
It's a crunchy heart. You know, sometimes you have a crunchy heart. That's the way it is. Sometimes you have a soft, mushy heart, and sometimes you have a crunchy one, right?
I know. Would that have bumps on that side? Have a bump like?
Mm-hmm.
It look like a heart.
It does. I agree. That is a heart. That is a crunchy heart, folks. Here's another nice little rock. This is nice. It is real hard. You can see the silver right off of the knife. Came off right there, guys. See that? We'll get it wet. Willow?
Is that some kind of crystal?
You know, at first glance I thought it was obsidian, but it's too hard to be obsidian, which is the volcanic glass.
Oh, it kind of looks like a crystal.
It's a very...
Like that white part next to a black right there. It kind of looks like a crystal-y kind of.
Yeah.
And it kind of looks like a geo as well.
Yeah, whatever happened with this, when the earth is bubbling up its minerals, and as they cool, certain minerals are pushed into the inside. Certain minerals make these little spots and swirls, and it's all has to do with the temperature, the humidity, and the minerals that are mixed, and the conditions that they're in. And these happen in different phases sometimes, and those are what give you what you get. And sometimes geologists try to come up with the understanding of how that happens. So something may have been settling here in the black, and yet this other material here, it does look kind of like it was flowing and had a lot of impurities in it, but it gives it a real interesting look. So yeah, I could see a way to work that cab out where you have the black and the brown around the outside. That'd be kind of cool. All right. So just a piece of some kind of an agate. I'm not really sure. Okay, here, this is a typical desert rock. You find something like that or like that and don't really know what you have, but looks kind of heavy, super hard. You can see that the steel from the knife definitely left the scratches there. Looks like a little pink right there. So let's get it wet and see what it looks like. See if it makes it light up any. Sometimes the sunshine really helps, but I'm not able to really photograph well. This is going to be an agate. It's a seam. This was a seam of agate, and it's layered. There's layers in here. It looks pretty earthy and not really any spectacular colors. This would be a very common kind of a agate that you would find in the California desert. Nothing spectacular, but you never know. You cut it, sometimes it might have a cool pattern. Okay. What do you think this is? I don't even know why I have this in my collection, but there it is.
It's pretty.
Yeah, it looks like a piece of slate, doesn't it? It's pretty soft. Softer than the knife. The knife scratches it pretty easy. Penny scratching it. Yeah, I can almost scratch it with my finger. Parts of it are harder than my finger, but it depends on how I go with the grain. So, yeah, this is like a horn. This is probably a mineral that you would find around a gold area, some hornbelt or hornblende, whatever they call it. I don't think it's slate, but very common mineral to find around gold areas. All right, so here's one. What's that look like?
Buffalo turquoise?
Buffalo turquoise. Yeah, it could be like a buffalo turquoise. Some people call it that. I don't think it is
I think
true buffalo turquoise.
it looked like some whipped cream flat stuff, like whipped cream.
Whipped cream. Should we call it the whipped cream rock?
Yeah.
You want to taste it?
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah, draw it.
This is called howlite. It's a calcium mineral, and it does. Sometimes they dye it blue and try to fake people out and pretend like it's turquoise, which is really dishonest. But it has a really nice southwest kind of look to it. It's easy to work with. I really like this stuff, actually. I don't think it'd make a good ring, but for a pennant or something like that, it would be really nice. Really neat stuff. Howlite. Okay. All right, let's see. We're got a few more left. Here's one that Willow was eyeballing in the beginning. Can you imagine just seeing that laying on the ground? Not much to look at, you know. You might not even realize it, but it is an agate. It's got a nice little nodule there. Looks like it's got a little scratch on it, or maybe a little crack. Definitely, the knife leaves silver on it, so it's definitely nice and hard. You can see that knife mark right there.
God.
Yes.
On the bottom, like, move on the other side. Can you show me that look like? See that thing in the middle right there? That look like their eye in their body. It looks like an eye, like.
It's like it's looking at you, huh? Like
Yeah.
it's some kind of a fish. And it's got two eyes.
Yeah.
And here it comes, coming to get you. All right, so then it says this one looks like a fish with two eyes looking at you. But it's just a nice little nodule that would take a good polish and make a really nice brooch, or even just a little specimen piece. So that's probably from Wiley Wells area. Got a lot of nodules from there. Here is something, looks pretty ordinary. It's been cut. Can you tell what this is, Willow? What would you say that looks like?
I'm guessing maybe like a geode.
No.
That
What does that look like? Right there.
gold.
No. Remember some of the rocks that we have that look kind of like wood?
Petrified wood.
Does that look like the bark, maybe?
Maybe.
You know what this is? This is called a limb cast. This was a limb of a tree right here, and there's the bark.
Wait, that was part of a tree.
Yeah, this is a limb cast.
How did it turn into a rock?
It's become fossilized. So as it was decomposing, silica minerals fell into the little holes and cavities, and it developed a shell around it in the earth, and it just filled up so you can see some of the layers. Some of these limb casts are very, very good. You can see several layers. Like petrified wood, you can usually see all the tree rings of the tree. Limb casts, sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't. Sometimes they're hollow, sometimes they're not. This one filled all the way, but I would guess this is a limb cast. It certainly looks like a limb cast.
That is like a goat eye.
A goat eye. Okay.
A goat eye? Seriously?
All right. Now, I wish this was dry because it would have looked better. I don't know. I got it wet. But if you look at this, you think you're looking at... Let me see if I can dry it off a little bit. Think you're looking at what?
A rainbow.
What does that look like? You see that picture?
No.
See, there's a little picture right there. I know it was dry before and it showed up really good, but there's a little picture right here. And sometimes when you're out in the mountains around where the Native Americans are, you find petroglyphics
What's that thing on the
that
picture?
the Native Americans made hundreds of years ago, maybe people say even thousands of years ago. And these would symbolize different things. Their gods, their religion, their hunting, the sun. But this is fake. This was done with a laser because you're not allowed to collect these. If you were to collect these, you'd be probably going to jail. You'd probably make the news.
Why you collect one?
Because it's fake. It's not a real one.
Oh.
My uncle made this with a laser.
What that pistol is?
I don't know what that one symbolizes. I mean, it could be an axe. I don't know. Okay, so let's see. We're almost done. We got a couple more, 3 more things here. Here's one here. It looks kind of like that. This is an area where you find these rocks that look like ham and bacon, or cake. This one looks kind of like a strawberry cheesecake.
Dad, can I talk to you?
Yes.
On the top, this is like blue icing and red icing, and it looks like a ham cake.
A ham cake, okay. Landon says this is a ham cake. All right. Well, you're a ham bone, so you should know. Ham bone makes everything better, by the way. All right, so here's the top of this rock, and you know, this thing is hard as can be. Definitely scratching the knife is the knife is leaving its silver on it, so it's definitely agate. This is some really nice. Get it wet, and you can see this has got this. You can't really see it too great, but there's like little flames that come down through this. So it is kind of not so much on this side. You see the white come down, but over on this side, inside, there's like these orangish red flames. Willow?
Is that a golden agate?
You know, it's sometimes they call it angel wing because of the way these little things come down. Sometimes they call it, you know, they call it different things. But yeah, it's hard to see what the potential of this is. You're really going to have to cut it because it's so stained. The stain is so strong. But if you look in there, you can see that there is some really nice little patterns of this orangish brown that go down through here. On this side, not so much, but right here you can definitely see it. So that could be a really cool piece. All right, one other little surprise. A friend of mine at church gave me some of these opals. They're from Indonesia, and it's called Willa.
Okay, close to my name.
Yeah, so here they are.
My name's Willa, that's Willa, okay?
They've got some really neat blues that are in them. You can see. And this is our last one for the show today. But opal, if you didn't already know, which I'm sure most people... Yes, Willow?
That one right here looks like a heart.
That one looks like a heart?
Not that one.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay, that one looks like a heart to Willow.
And that one looks like a heart too.
I know, that one's a heart. You definitely... Oh, here, look at this one. Wow. This one's got some really neat blues in it. Not a whole lot of fire.
Dada,
Yeah, Willow.
is there pink of that?
pink. There's some purple and pink right there.
Dada.
You get these in the sunlight and they're really spectacular.
That's the prettiest color. Dada.
Depends on what color you like the best. Yes, Landon.
This looks like a white egg.
A white egg, okay. The whipped cream is now a white egg, just so you know. There's no yolk. This is a yolkless egg. All right, let's continue looking at this Indonesian opal. That one's got a really neat hue in it.
Yeah, that one's sweet.
Yeah.
Wait, can I see that one?
There you go. So every piece is different.
Dad, can you give me? It would make a good ring. Dad, can you give me that one?
You want to look at that one? Okay.
Yeah, it would make a good ring.
It'll make a nice ring, wouldn't it? Yeah. See, somebody started this one here, looks like, to try to see what they could get out of that.
Dad, what the one Willowgis have?
I don't know. You can look at any one of them you want.
Yeah, but Willowgis take one I really want to see.
She put it back. She put it back so you can look at any one you want.
I can't see where her put it back. It's like a beautiful cube.
That one looks like a heart kind of, huh? Well.
Where's the cube?
Okay, let me finish this up, guys. So, guys, that's it. Please support the channel. Please subscribe. Please, like the video and share it. Help us grow this community. And if you have any questions or thoughts or ideas, let us know what they are. We'd be glad to hear them and be able to do something like that. So, this is your host, Shane, with Radical Rocks. Remember, rockhounds don't die. They petrify. The end.